Shalom Aleichem, everybody. Good Shabbos. How are you? Hello. I'm blinded. I can't see anybody. I just see like a blinding light. So I'm being enlightened tonight. So welcome to all of you. Great to see you here. If I could see you. Welcome to everybody on the stream. I'm blessed tonight to share the Bima with Dr. Samuel Adler and Dr. Emily Freeman Brown. Those of you who know Sam know he's one of the greatest composers in American history, and we're going to be celebrating some of his music in the worship service tonight. So we'll start tonight on page 142 as we join together in Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Baruch Hu. Bochem leshalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Mimelech malachei hamlachim, hakadosh baruch Hu. Barchuni leshalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Malachei hamlachim, hakadosh baruch Hu. Tzedchem leshalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Mimelech malachei hamlachim, hakadosh baruch Hu. So we welcome now the Sabbath with the lighting of the Shabbat candles. Dr. Emily Freeman Brown will lead us. Please join on page 120 and 121.
O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter this sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'chad l'knei shel Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehad likneh shel Shabbat. Thank you.
our service with the Chatzi Kaddish on page 144.
Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemer haba Bi'alma divrach yedute v'yamlich machute B'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayede kol bet Yisrael B'agala Uvisman kariv vehimeru amen. Yeheshemer haba mevarach le'alam ul'al mehamaya yitbarach Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpah v'yitramam v'yitnaseh V'yitatar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalal, shemed kudesha b'richu, le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata, tushbekata v'nechemata, damiran v'alma, v'himeru, amen. Barach hu et Adonai hamevorach Baruch Adonai hamevorach leolam vaed.
Page 149. Let's read together. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Wisdom sets the way on which time is seen. Your right hand sustains the stars. Creator of the time and life. You guide the current of day and night. As heaven sustains to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows.
Adonai, Mariv, Arvim. Avat olam bet Yisrael Amcha Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadita. Al ken Adonai Eloheinu, b'shachvenu uvkumenu nasiach bechukecha v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha u'mitzvotecha le'olam vaed ki hem chayenu ve'orech yamenu uvahem negei yomam v'alala ve'avatecha al tasir mimenu le'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo
be seated.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, ושבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על יד, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Let's read together. You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. Take to heart these instructions which I charge you this day. Press them upon your children. Recite them when you stay at home and when you are away, when you lie down and when you get up. Bind them as a sign on your hand, and let them serve as symbol on your forehead. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and upon your gates. Thus you shall remember to observe all my commandments and to be holy to your God. I am Adonai, your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Adonai, your God. Adonai Elohechem Emet. Turn to page 157, and let's read responsively. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love. From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way. Inspired by prophets and time and again. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to be witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. Let us continue to... Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of its...
kifar Adonai et Yaakov, ugewelo me'at hasach mimenu. Baruch atah Adonai, Gal Yisrael.
On page 160, let's read together. Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace and raise us up, our guardian, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel. For your name's sake be our help. Shield and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, and sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing. For you, God, watch over us and deliver us. For you, God, are gracious and merciful. God, our going out and our coming to life, to peace evermore. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem. Baruch atah Adonai, haporez sukat shalom, aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim.
Shameru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat lidorotam birit olam b'nei Yisrael oti le'olam ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim et haaretz uvayom hashivi Shabbat vayinafash.
Those who keep Shabbat by calling it a delight will rejoice in your realm. The people that hallow Shabbat will delight in your goodness. For being pleased with the seventh day, you hallowed it as the most precious of days, drawing our attention to the work of creation. Let's now rise for the tefillah on page 164.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agit hilatecha Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibur v'Hanora El Elyon Gomer Chasadim Tovim Vekoneh HaKol Vezocher Chasdei Havot v'Imahot U'mevii Geula Livnei V'nem Leman Shemo Be'ahava Melech Ozer U'Mashiach U'Magen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham Ve'esrat Sarah Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai מחיה הכל את הרב להושיע, מחכה חיים בחסד, מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומציל אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשמי עפר. מי כמוך בגבורות ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
You are holy, your name is holy, and those who are holy praise you every day. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh. We continue on page 175, and you may be seated. Ever-present one, may we, your people Israel, be worthy in our deeds and our prayers. Wherever we live, wherever we seek you, in this land, in Zion restored, in all lands, you are one God, whom alone we serve in reverence. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otecho levadecha, v'yirah na'avod. Please turn to page 177. And let's read together. When we behold your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and stars that you set in place, what are we, humans, that you are mindful of us? We mortals, that you take note of us. You made us little lower than the divine, adorned us with glory and majesty. You gave us dominion over your handiwork, laying your world at our feet. How majestic is your name throughout the earth. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha, u'lecha na'eh lahodot.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael hamecha tasim.
Let's read together on page 179 at the top. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Eternal One, who blesses our people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamvarech et amo Yisrael b'shalom.
We take a moment now to ask for God's healing for those in our congregation and in our community who are suffering from illness. Please feel free to share the name of someone dear to you at this time for whom you are praying. Let's join together now in singing our prayer for healing to Misha Barach, found in the middle of page 371.
Of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misha We pause now for a moment of silent meditation and prayer. Say shalom bimromav, uyaseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
It's very good to be with you, and I wish you Shabbat Shalom. When Little called me and asked me to pick 2 Friday night services on which to participate, I picked this and the next week, not knowing what the Torah portions were. If I had known, I would probably not have picked this particular portion, since I've always sort of skipped both of them in reading the Bible. Leviticus is the shortest book of the Torah and full of details about the priesthood, purification, the holidays in our calendar, and details about who one can and one cannot marry according to Jewish law. While I guess that's all important detail for the religious life, it can be rather boring, especially to read, and often, especially the priestly doctrines, are quite irrelevant in our lives today. However, if you disregard and cut out the particulars mentioned in this particular parasha called Emor, or it means speaking to the people, that calls on Moses to speak to the people, and get to the essence of what can relate to us and our time, there are important lessons we can glean from the discussion of the particulars. Here are some of my gleanings which I feel can have meaning in our own lives today. What is the meaning of all these discussions about what the priest can and cannot do, and who one can marry and who one must not? Well, there's one overriding principle in everything that's discussed in the book of Leviticus. And my favorite ritual has always been the Havdalah service, which divides the Shabbat from the everyday. This is what all these specific laws are about, stemming from the first passage in the Torah. And God saw the light, and it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness. And then he divides the water from the earth, and so on and so forth. All this was a division of some sort. Thus, in the first part of this Torah portion, we have everything a priest is obliged to do, and also what the ordinary Hebrew can do, dividing from the unclean or forbidden, such as marrying someone closely related to you, since that may have repercussions in health as well as in society. And this always is followed by a suggestion that our behavior should be godlike, with the admonition, quote, "You shall be holy, for I, the Lord your God, is holy," which, by the way, we read, or were supposed to read about in last week's portion, called the holiness doctrine. I want to mention something here that is relevant throughout the Torah and can be related to some of our experiences, and that is listing the 4 elements which give purification in life. They are fire, blood, oil, and water. The first has to do with the divinity. God revealed himself through fire at Sinai, giving the 10 Commandments, and also led the people through the wilderness by having a pillar of fire in front of them to protect all, and then we have fire to protect us. The next is blood. We are reminded that blood is the very life-giving of all things, and therefore also has to do with, in Leviticus, the word in Hebrew is nephesh, not the word for blood, but actually the meaning of soul, of both humanity and the animal kingdom. Oil, in this case olive oil, was the ancient way of denoting the king from the average person by anointing him with oil. Also remember, in the 23rd Psalm, it says, "You anoint my head with oil, my cup runs over." For us, it can mean that it denotes the person that does good from the one who does evil. And finally, the efficacy of water, which is an obvious purifier. This adds up to fire being linked up to the divine, blood to human beings as well as animals. Oil is the product of agriculture. As you remember, it was an agricultural culture in ancient days. And water, a product without which there would be no existence on earth. All these regulations of a pervasive spiritual seriousness grounded in a cohesive concept of reality even for us. All these discussions of holiness, family life and ethics, etc., in these chapters is followed by the establishment of what is called the sacred calendar. Because according to the Torah, life must be organized in order to have any meaning. The calendar, therefore, is an important regulatory element in every life. This means that all the holidays, especially the three pilgrimage festivals, Sukkot, Pesach, and Shavuot, can give us a good rhythm by which we can regulate our own lives. Added to these holidays, we find in this chapter of Leviticus a special emphasis on Yom Kippur, with just a slight mention of Rosh Hashanah as simply the beginning of the new spiritual calendar. Yom Kippur, on the other hand, to go back to the all overarching principle here of hivdil, or division, is the day on which Jews have the obligation to divide themselves from the sins of the past year and enter the new year with a clean slate. What jumped out to me is the sacred number, which here is 7. Now, when I was in China, they told me everything has to be 5. Well, everybody has something, and we even have a suspicion and a superstition about the day today, 13. I also have a great fear of Friday the 13th, of course. As many religions and nationalities have these sacred numbers, for us, Jews, it seems to be the number 7. Now, this is emphasized in Leviticus chapter 22, 7 days from one Shabbat to the next, 7 days for Sukkot, Pesach, Shavuot, 7 weeks between Pesach and Shavuot, all major holidays falling in the first 7 months of the Jewish year, beginning with Rosh Hashanah, as well as 7 times 7 years to the Jubilee year, which we can discuss next week in the portion called Bahar, or Mount Sinai. By the way, we have to say that our Orthodox co-religionists insist that they have to have 8 days of each of the holidays, but I think for us Reformed Jews, 7 is enough, and that is the magic number for us anyway. Remember, the ordinary Jewish year begins with the month of Nisan, but the sacred year begins with Rosh Hashanah, that begins either with the Hebrew month of Elul or Tishri, depending on whether there's a leap year or not. Well then, this gives us 7 months in which all of our major holidays are placed. I guess it takes a rabbinic mind to figure out all these 7s correctly. I don't have one, I just quote what they tell me. And I just want to add one thing to close with, something important for these days that I remember with the number 7. I remember something from my childhood. Now, in order to count the days between Pesach and Shavuot, we are supposed to count them by saying the Omer. Every day for 49 days, 7 times 7, between Pesach and Shavuot. My mother would say only, if you count the Omer every day, will you get cheesecake on Shavuot? I think that was only a German Jewish custom, but in America it became cheese blintzes. And I admonish you, therefore, if you like cheese blintzes, that if you want to have them on Shavuot, you better start counting the Omer every day. So since there are lots of days left still, you have a chance to get them. And if you need the prayer, it's on page 570 of our prayer book. Shabbat Shalom.
Board representative tonight, as well as your cantorial soloist. So announcements for this week. The floral arrangement here on the Bima and at Kiddush as well this evening are from Lori Green and family, Patty and Tom Tushman and family, and Tom and Riza Kilcourse and family, in loving memory of Evelyn B. Bayless, Dayton H. Bayless, Meta Green, Dr. Mervyn Green, Richard Green, and Lena Green. Some upcoming events. Sunday, this coming Sunday, May 15th at 10:15 a.m. We celebrate the Hebrew School graduation here in the sanctuary. Please come and support them. It'll be a great event. We also have a spring mini mitzvah day. This is when you all go woo. Excellent. Janine would be very happy. She made me do that. It's Sunday, May 22nd from noon to 4. And so it's going to be loads of different projects all through the temple. Pizza and salad will be served to all who come. Free food, always a good reason to come. From 11:30 till noon. Projects are going to include indoor social hall storage room clean out, basement clean out and clean up, some gardening, weeding, lawn cleanup, you name it, we'll have a job for you. Come and join the temple community as we work together on these post-pandemic projects. You can sign up by emailing Grace at grace@templese.com or by calling Grace at the office, or you can show up. I'm sure Janine will have something or will make use of you. We welcome all able-bodied persons to join us in performing these mitzvot, and hours will count as community service for teens who need community service hours. Bring your gardening tools. She says thank you in advance. We also have a notice that came to us midweek from the Jewish Senior Family and Social Services about the transportation services, and sadly they are discontinuing them that we announced just a couple weeks ago. And I'm reading from their note: due to unforeseen circumstances beyond our control, Jewish Senior Family and Social Services regretfully inform our congregational partners that transportation to and from services are no longer available. JSFSS has notified yesterday that our transportation providers Share Mobility, due to a, quote, perfect storm of unforeseen developments, will no longer be operating AAA rideshare or offering Share Mobility transportation services. This development blindsided and disheartened them. Months-long work to bring people together, encourage the community, and deliver a timely, reliable transportation option for our community members with mobility concerns came undone without warning. It was also disappointing because early use of the program seemed to be effective and quite helpful. They're aware that there's great need, and it persists through the socioeconomic factors and post-pandemic. They are working as hard as they can to find some solution to this. So just so you know, that service is no longer available. So with that, Shabbat Shalom. So now we turn to our concluding prayers as we rise for the Aleinu on the bottom of page 586.
continue on page 589. Let the time not be distant, O God, when all shall turn to you in love, when corruption and evil shall give way to integrity and goodness, when superstition shall no longer enslave the mind, nor idolatry blind the eye. O may all created in your image become one in spirit and one in friendship, forever united in your service. Then shall your realm be established on earth, and the word of your prophet be fulfilled. Adonai will reign forever and ever. Please turn to page 593. In nature's ebb and flow, God's eternal law abides. When tears dim our vision, of grief clouds our understanding, we often lose sight of God's eternal plan. Yet we know that growth and decay, life and death, all reveal a divine purpose. God, who is our support in the struggles of life, is also our hope in death. We have set God before us and shall not despair. In God's hands are the souls of all the living and the spirits of all flesh. Under God's protection we abide, and God's love are we comforted. O life of our life, soul of our soul, cause your light to shine into our hearts and fill our spirits with abiding trust in you.
At this sacred moment of our Shabbat worship, we think longingly and lovingly of Louis Paul Dara, taken from us in recent days and weeks, and are there others to remember? We name two at this time, those whose yahrzeit, the anniversary of whose passing occurs, as on this Shabbat we recall: Phyllis Akers, Dayton H. Bayless, Evelyn B. Bayless, Abraham Boehm, Max Britz, Charlotte Kahn, Virginia Lee Gidge Farber, Lily G. Gilliard, Marion Goldner, Lena Green, Meta Green, Mervyn E. Green, MD, Richard Green, Myra Jacobs Greenberg, Annie Hirsch, Marshall N. Eisenberg, Harold Jaffe, Michael Katz, Dr. Joseph D. Landisman, Betty Jane Locks, Phil Liebes, Celia Lobert, Maurice J. Marenberg, Bernard Reifman, Jake Shaneberg, Helene Sherman, Herbert Sugarman, Jacob Siegel, Ann Steiner, Sol Truhaft, Chester Tushman, Gail Waldstein, Eugene Wasserman, Lorraine Wilner, and Robert M. Zanville.
Let us now rise for our Kaddish on page 598. Itgadal
Yitkadash Shemei Rabba, Bialma Divrach Idute, Viamlich Machute, B'chayechon u'vyumechon, B'chayechon Beit Israel, Ba'agalau Vizman Kariv Ve'imiru Omin, Shemei Rabba Mevarach, Le'elam Ulalmei Almaya, Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitpa'ar V'yitramam V'yitnaseh, V'yitadar V'yitaleh V'yitalal, Shemei D'Kodesha B'richu, Le'ela Minko Berchata V'shirata, Tush B'chata V'nechemata, Da'amiran Be'alma V'imiru Omin, Yehi Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya V'chayim Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael V'imiru Omin, Oseh Shalom B'imramav, Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael V'imiru Omin.
May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel. And let us say,
Amen.
let us conclude our service. I think we have Kiddush and Motzi outside.
Yes, out in the...
Yes. So we all invite you to come and get a little shaker, not too much. We're going to conclude our service with Adon Olam, which you'll find on page 625. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.